Today we get to talk to Crystal Kavanaugh. She's the co-owner of C&C Connections, as well as the founder of Referrals from the Heart. She has a powerful story about what she has overcome, as well as a wealth of knowledge in real estate, insurance, and many other things. The biggest thing about Crystal is she loves to give back to her community and is truly looking out for the benefit of our youth. Listen today to hear more about Crystal Kavanaugh.
Hello and welcome to Happy, Healthy, and Skeptical. We are your hosts, Christy Palermo and Jennifer Hobson. All right, today I love when we have guests on. It's so fun. So today we are with Crystal Kavanaugh, and she and her husband have a company, C&C Connections, and within that they have real estate, insurance, plumbing and heating services, and I love talking to people about their own personal businesses, local things. And so, yeah, we'd love to jump into it. Crystal, I'd love for you to start off with, sharing a little bit about you, how you got into this, and a little bit about your story.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So this is Crystal Kavanaugh, as she mentioned, C&C Connections, and we offer multiple services, real estate for residential, some mixed use, some commercial, as well as insurance. I'm offering insurance for commercial, residential, as well as life insurance. So that's a big part of what I do, as well as planning. And we also own a plumbing and heating company. So we like to say that we do it all because we do it all. We also run a nonprofit organization, which is actually managed by myself through Lights in the Dark Foundation. And Lights in the Dark Foundation is a great organization in Taunton. It's managed and owned and founded by Chantel, who is an amazing partner. She allowed me to start a youth program. And with that, what we do is we have several women-owned businesses that get together once a month. We try to support other women-owned businesses, so we meet at different locations, and we also give back to youth. So this program just started, but it's a big part of what we do because of our background, and we love to help the youth any way we can. We're always trying to find youth volunteers, and what they do is they come in and they basically work with the different women-owned businesses, and they learn a trade as well as earning things that they want and need. So some of it is just, they might need some back to school clothes, or they just want to do a volunteer just to learn, a business, whether it's cutting flowers or helping at a vendor event. And then we also give them, different points so that they can earn things they need. And they enjoy it as well. So we find that bringing the community in, helps us a lot to give back. And what we do, a lot of what we do with the real estate too, is I like to educate. So a big part of what we do is trying to help people that are first-time home buyers who have never owned a home, that really want to own a home, and get them into the different programs, grants, first-time home buyers assistance, things like that, which are super important to us because we were first-time home buyers at the age of 20. And we met when we were very young, and we decided that we wanted to own a home that was important. So for me personally, helping first-time home buyers is a big part of what I do. And that's about it.
That's about it. Yeah. Well, for anyone listening, I apologize. This is Jen, and my voice is a little wonky today. But I am the person that invited Crystal to have a conversation with us, and I have to give you guys a little bit of a backstory. So I have been in business now for 7 years. We've shared that before, and for most of you, you know that I live in Taunton, Massachusetts. And I had started networking pretty early in my business, and that was local groups, trying to look online. And what I have to say is, no matter where I looked, Crystal was involved. It was either her name was being said, or her picture was there, or she was at a meeting. And I was like, I have to get to know this woman because she's everywhere. And if I want to meet the people in this town, she already knows them. And I think that goes back to not just you as an entrepreneur, Crystal, but you as a person and how you build relationships. Everyone that I've ever met has had nothing but nice things to say about you. And I know so many people constantly refer you, which is why I love your branch calling Referrals from the Heart, because I think at the heart of it, you genuinely try to support not just other women, but other businesses, local businesses, in the best way that you can. And I don't think that everyone can say that. And I think it's very to who you are and your core and what you and Carlos have built. And before we kind of even get into the community piece, because that's really what we wanted to talk to you about today, I wanted to ask, how did you guys become entrepreneurs?
That's a good question. So we met when we were 13. We had our son when we were 15 years old, and we didn't have strong family households. We did everything on our own, basically. So when I say that, I mean it. It was, Crystal and Carlos, and we basically decided that we were going to give our son a better life. So we worked, in corporate companies for several years. I was actually at the company that I worked for 20 years before I left. And I started off, 16 years old working for a company. I was the customer service rep, and then I went up to customer service manager. Then I learned the billing, and then I ended up 20 years later the director of their accounting and operations departments, where I was dealing with all their acquisitions, traveling the country with teams, and I had a really strong aspect of business. But I recognized that both of us were working super hard, and we were watching the owners drive in with Lamborghinis and Porsches, and we just kind of looked at each other and said, we can do more. And we always wanted to do more, and not just for ourselves, but for our son and for the community. And a big part of it was watching other community businesses and always just supporting them, whether it was just going, to shop there or talk to them or going to an event, like you said. But we always wanted to be part of the community. So we were part of the local churches. We were going to, different events that they had, even overseas mission trips, things like that. And we just said, we could do more for the community. So one day we both, spoke to our son. He was graduating from high school, moving on to college. And we were like, we did this. We made this happen. We got him through high school as teen parents. We're getting him to college. He actually got accepted to an Ivy League. So we were super excited for him and proud of him. And we said, we're going to try something different. And he said, well, what do you think we should do? And I said, well, let me try first, because I have real estate, under my belt. I was working in real estate for about a year and a half at that point, and I felt like the company that I was with was kind of a dead end. And also, again, just helping them, become more wealthy, watching, the writing on the wall that I was at a standstill. And I cared about people enough that I felt like I wasn't doing enough. So one day we talked to our son, and I'll never forget what he said to me. I don't know if he meant it in a way that he, knew would impact me, but he said, Mom, you got to risk it for the biscuit, and you got to move on to make yourself happy. And I was like, oh, okay. I kind of like that.
I love that.
And then, it was super cool. And then he sent me a song that it was, it's like a hip hop song, because he's a hip hop artist, and which we're super proud of, by the way. He goes by Devontae Cav, or Tay Cav, for anyone listening. You can look him up on Spotify, iTunes. He has an album out there. And he said, he sent me a hip hop song, and it's "I'm Proud of You," and it kept rolling in my head. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. You. So I was like, thank you so much, like, for being proud of me too, as your mom. And then he ended up making a song for us called Colors with a K. If you look it up on one of the platforms, you'll be able to hear it. And in the song, it says anything is possible if you really want it. And he kept, emphasizing in the song that you'll have good days and bad days, but if you really want it, you can get it. And he basically explained in the song that my parents were 15 and they were able to do it. We beat the odds, and we were able to do all of what we really wanted in life. So he's telling everyone else, like, no matter what whatever wall is in front of you, you can break through it. And in that song, anything is possible. And, if you really want it, I kept replaying it over and over. And I'm like, I got to do this. So I decided to give my notice like crazy, but I did. I licensed in insurance as well, again, property and casualty and life insurance, and really started to study insurance and what it could do for other people, which was protection, right? So again, I'm all about helping the community. So protection was a big piece of what I love to do. And it goes way beyond just insuring a vehicle or a house, but a lot of people that have sat down with me have learned that I teach them about protection, but also planning. And there are people that have come to me in the community, and said, I would love to buy a house, but I have bad credit, I have no money, and I don't know what to do. I would literally sit down with them and create what I call a master plan, a vision, to teach them, okay, this is where you're at. This is a budget. This is where we want to be. And then fast forward a year or two later, they're in their own condo. They have good credit. They know how to save. And now they're, investing for retirement, which they never thought they could do, never mind, purchase a property. So again, the big vision. And as I started to help each individual, I realized I was helping so many people that I was in the path that I should be in. I was, walking the path that I belonged in. And over time, I've realized so many people, like you said, they know me because if there's anything that goes wrong, and I need anything, it doesn't matter if it's one of the services that we provide, the call comes to me and they say, "Hey, I have a question. I know you don't do this, but do you know someone who does?" Or, "Hey, I have a question. Can you help direct me in the right direction because this just happened?" And 99% of the time, I have an answer. And it could just be I have another professional expert that can help, but I always will give it 110%. I don't give up until I help that person and I know that I've done everything I can. Same
That's
with my
awesome.
husband. Yeah, he was in plumbing and heating for a very, very long time, and he saw that I was already creating my own business, and he said, "I think I should really try this as well." And he did, and he ended up saying that this was the best thing he could ever do because now he's not working for a company paying, charging corporate costs to these small,
Yeah.
owners. Like we have some people that have all different issues. It could be an elderly person, and before he was working for these companies, and they were saying you have to charge, $3,000 for something. Now we're like, well, what can we do to help you?
Yeah.
So it's not always about the return, it's about what we can give.
When was the time that you said, all right, you gave your notice? How long ago was that?
2018 was when I started to shift, and then
Mhm.
2019 was it.
So what's crazy to me is I genuinely, Crystal, thought you had been in business for like 15 years this entire time that I've known you. And I think that speaks volume that you've been able to make that big of an impact in the local community that most people that I speak to know your name. That's pretty
Right.
big for having not been in business, what quote unquote people say, a long, long time. I mean, it can be a long time even when you're in business for 2 years, but that you've not only created multiple businesses, but you've also created a persona and a positive persona. And what I love is how it's kind of a circle. You influenced your son, right? You made him know that it was possible for him to get a good education, right? You said he went to an Ivy League, I believe Brown, which is in our home
Yes.
state. So Christy and I know it, and made him believe in himself so much that he showed up for you when you needed it. And I think like that blows my mind. Those are the types of people we want to be raising, right? Those are the types of
Right.
men we want to be raising. And you did an amazing job, despite what everyone could have assumed about you, right? About the
Yes.
idea of, you're too young, you don't have enough experience. What are you doing? Trying these things you've never done before. And then in turn, you both, showed your husband he can do something. I love that whole circle. If like really you needed your son to believe in you just like you believed in him.
Right. And I think a lot of what you're saying too, and I really appreciate what you mentioned. It means so much to us to help people. So before we even went into business, we were so involved helping anyone we could in any way that I think that's why our influence was so drastic in the community because community development was so big to us, and we always wanted to be involved with it. I was teaching CCD for 4 years at the local church. My husband was Pop Warner football coach for years. I was team mom out there cheering them on, bringing sliced, oranges and telling the kids they can do it. We were at every event at the schools, every event in the community as we could be. So we knew so many of the political leaders too, and we always just wanted better for the community. And we feel like, Taunton has come a long way where we also work with other local communities where we came from as well. We're more in the Boston area. So we do so much and we try, but we also see what other people, have done too. And the program we have, Referrals from the Heart, I must tell you that, they're women-owned businesses. We do obviously work a lot with other businesses as well, not just women owned, but this particular group in general has come to fruition because we have so many genuine people that are in this group that really want to help each other. And when we get together, we don't just talk about business, we talk about everything, real life situations, which a lot of you know and you know as well. And we want to help. If we hear that someone has to have a surgery that's coming up, we care, we check in. We had one person that had a breakup. We made sure that we had a basket ready for her because we felt like, that could help her through that tough time. So no matter what it is, we want to help people. And I think that, that program itself is open to any woman-owned business that wants to help and give back. And we want to share that information with everyone too, if they're interested, because it's a big part of what we love to do.
I just hear the same theme you keep coming back to and wanting to help people, and you can just tell it's such a genuine part of you, and it's so beautiful with just meeting you, and I can just tell that everything you guys do is from the heart and serving your community, because that's what's going to give your businesses longevity, which that's just like, a side effect to what you're doing. You're out there doing stuff to really help people, and support people in good times and bad. And in turn, it's creating this beautiful multiple businesses for you under one umbrella. But yeah, I just couldn't help smile at all you were talking about with your family too, supporting each other and your son. It's just such an awesome thing that you're doing. It's really inspiring to me. Like, it chokes me up to like hear every part of what you're doing right now.
Thank you. I really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Crystal, how did you, I know it's Lights in the Dark, and then you have your subgroup, Referrals from the Heart. When and how did you get involved with that?
Just recently, it's been about a little over a year now. And again, what had happened was we were trying to figure out how to create a networking group that would also give back. And because I have such a soft spot for the teens, and because I was a teen that had difficulties, and so my husband as well, we wanted to figure out a focus. And the focus for us was teens. And, we've had several events that we've brought them in on, and we sit down, we talk to them, and we have, a lot more ideas that we're trying to bring together to help them. And when I spoke to Chantel, it just seemed like an easy fit that we could, work with her. And she already was supporting businesses. So that's her Lights in the Dark Foundation. She's supporting local businesses. She started it with that being said. And she was kind of, in a position where she was like, I don't have the time to do this right now. And, you mentioned that you wanted to help. How could we have you help this organization as well as help your cause? So when we discussed it and we sat down, she was so open to allowing me to work together with her. And, we could open up our own nonprofit. It's just not something that we're ready to do yet. But at the same time, it's just as well, we're helping local businesses, and that's exactly what she does. But we're just putting the proceeds to a specific cause versus what she does is every month they vote on a specific family that has been nominated due to maybe an illness or hardships, and where mine just goes directly to our program.
Yeah. Well, and I think what I love about that, I've been able to have conversations with you outside of this conversation, but what I've taken away several times is you've chosen not to be a victim of your circumstance. And there's so many people in life, whether they're entrepreneurs, that things happen to them and they didn't happen for them. And I think there's so many times in your life you could have just said, well, I don't have to do more than what I'm doing right now because this is what I've been dealt. And instead, you've decided to show up for, teen youth in this area and say, I'm going to be the person for those people that I didn't get to have, that wasn't there for me. And I think that's what makes what you do even more powerful, because you decided not to embody victim mentality, and you embodied something that said, I'm going to do something more, and not just for myself, but for other people.
Right. And for me, it's so important to educate them too, because growing up and not having, many mentors to explain to you what life is all about, it makes a big difference just having one person. And there was one person that I had in my life that was actually I guess you could say she was a youth outreach worker, but she just worked specific jobs in the community. And she met me one day and we just started talking, and I was a juvenile delinquent, no lie. And she said, what is your problem? Like, what is going on with you? And I just looked at her, I'm like, why do you care? Why do you care? And she said, because I do. I just noticed that, you seem like you're smart, but you don't utilize, your skills, and you're just always, known to be a problem, and I was young and I didn't have parents, like I said. I think at the time my mother was in prison. My father and mother are separated, and it was just like jumping around from place to place, had nowhere to go. So you're hungry, you don't have anywhere to lay your head, you're just tired, and you're just running around trying to figure out what life's all about. But she had to give me a ride once, and she said, hey, I can give you a ride, but we have to stop at my house. And I remember she said, but when we go in, no, she said, you have to stay in the car. And I said, but I have to use the bathroom. She was like, no, no. You're going to stay in the car. And I said, no, I have to use the bathroom. I promise I won't do anything. She's like, no, you need to stay in the car. But then she said, okay, you know what? You can use the bathroom. And I was so excited because I wanted to see like her house. She has a house. So I went into her house and I was like, how did you get this? And she just looked at me and she's like, well, and she explained, you have to get a mortgage. You don't really own it, but you have to get a mortgage. And once you have a mortgage, you're technically a homeowner. And she went through it. And I kind of looked at her and said, wow, you can own a house. And it didn't even come, into my mind that that was an option because, growing up, we always lived off of the system and we always lived in not great apartments. So it was one of those things that I was just surprised about. So I remember going to the library, and that's what the interest came in real estate because I've always loved it. And I just said, how can we own a house? So over time, I studied it and studied it. We had our first apartment in Easton, and I was like, you know what? I think we can buy a house. But my husband was like, yeah, right. Okay, sure. Okay, we just got an apartment. You're thinking about buying a house. We were so excited with our first apartment. So over time, it was about 2 years later, I told him we can buy a house now. And he was like in shock because I learned how to lower down payments and different things and options at the time. And I had read so many books that I understood what to do. And he literally was like, I thought you said we had no money. I said, we had no money to spend. We had money that I was saving, and now we can buy a
There's a
house.
huge difference, huge difference.
Huge. Yeah. And I remember when we bought our first house, though, there's nothing like being a homeowner. There's
Mhm.
nothing like someone that can't tell, there's no better feeling than being able to say, like, this is mine. No one can tell me when I have to leave. No one can tell me they're doing an inspection. No one can tell me that, they have to come in because somebody's, water is leaking through my ceiling. It's my house. I say what goes. And the feeling was incredible. And never mind the investment that it created for us, because in time we had enough money to turn it into another property. And now we've, had so much equity in what we live in now. There's no other investment. I mean, you have to have different investment sources, but one of them should be real estate. And for us, I learned early so that we could be successful in that area. And being a homeowner just means so much more than just the money, but it also is just a feeling of discomfort for
And
us.
I think it's a feeling of accomplishment, right? That's nothing that your parents had been able to do and anyone that around you, and they go, you know what, I was able to figure this out. And for the fact that you had no idea what a mortgage was, to be able to buy a house at that early of an age is really goes to how intelligent you are and how resourceful you are. And I think that's what sometimes back to that idea of you chose not to be a victim. And there's so many people going, well, I could never, I've had conversations with those people before. I could never own a house. As soon as you say, I could never anything, you've already decided.
Right.
And I think that's really important with anything that you do, whether it's, you want to buy a house or you want to start a business or, you want to start a nonprofit. As soon as you say you can't, or as soon as you say you could never, you've already decided.
Right. That's so
And you
true.
have to make that different decision. So you kind of said how you got involved with referrals from the heart. So then what I want to ask you is, how has community and giving back then affected your business and being an entrepreneur? How has it then affected what you've created?
Well, what I've created has really, in my opinion, supported so many women-owned businesses and just business in general. Because again, we don't support just women-owned businesses; we support all businesses. And every networking group I go to, I really try to refer everyone. So anyone that comes to me knows I will give them a referral. Hopefully, they do good by whoever I refer them to, and if they don't, I tell them because I want to be a solid referral partner. But for my business, I feel like, everyone trusts me, and that's a big piece of being able to grow in your business. Trust is the most important thing. I'm authentic. We're genuine people. We do what is right before anything else. And that has brought a lot of business to us because they trust me and they know that I'm going to provide, as best as I can, the best referrals as possible. And also just know that if something goes wrong, I can help them fix it. If something didn't go the way that they expected, they're going to call me and say, now what do we do? And I'm always there to the end. I'm there to the end. And all my clients, they'll tell you they're not just clients, they're friends. They're lifetime friends. So, they call me in 10 years and they sold a house, 10 years ago, and they call me today and they say, hey, I have a question or a problem. I work with the insurance, whatever it is, and they have a question. It has nothing to do with what I'm providing for service. I'm going to help them to the end. And a lot of the people that I refer, they know that I'm going to watch through it. So I have their best interests in mind always. So I feel like that's a big part of why people come to me, because they trust us.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. I mean, trust is everything in relationships, in business, in community, in family. And so to build that and to say that that's what has fueled come back around for your business, I think that's just so perfect, so perfectly said, because that's really what's at the root of everything for anyone trying to get into business. Maybe starting out, maybe I feel like that would be a great tip for someone starting out, especially a new business, is to be so authentic and so true to letting people trust you, letting people in, and just being so giving in that way. Like you're saying, for referrals and just going the extra mile, because it makes a difference. And that's what keeps people around. Like you say, 10 years later, people asking you questions still because they just know you're that type of person.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's great, Christy, and it's a great segue because the next question I had was, what are your suggestions for entrepreneurs and if they want to get involved in their community more? So I think that's a great segue. What other tips do you have for people, Crystal, that people are like, you know what, I want to build more of a community, I want to be more a part of it, and I just don't know where to start?
The easy answer is call me.
Well, not everyone is around you. I mean, even Christy's down in Florida, and actually,
Okay.
Christy, she has her own business, but she also has 3 tiny humans under the age of 5. So she's doing a lot of different things, but she's not from there. So I think that's even been a challenge for me here, and it took a little while. But so for someone that is not in your neighborhood and is somewhere else, what's one quick thing that they could do to get involved in their community?
So I really believe if you are a religious person, I feel like being part of a organization, whether it's a church, whatever it is, I feel like it's a warm place to start if you are religious. If you're not, I do feel if you do have children, being part of all of the events made a big difference for me because I was always there for all of the kids, no matter what. I also think too, social media is a big part of what I do. I am actively on social media. I could get better. I know, the younger crowd has all these other options. I'm trying to, work on the TikToks, but Facebook has been a big part of my business. I have a business page, so I would recommend creating a business page and also working with like a marketing a marketing manager, spend a little bit of money so that they can go through all of what you have now and give you tips on what you should do. Google is another big source that I know. Just recently someone said, you really should have a lot of your reviews on Google so that people can see you, not just necessarily on a platform for a service. As a real estate agent, I use Zillow a lot. So if you look at my Zillow account, you'll see lots of great 5-star reviews. But if Zillow decides to shut down or something happens, all my reviews just, are gone. So Google is another big platform that I would recommend, you utilizing, creating a business page and social media. Social media is a big part of it. One-on-ones, whether it's Zoom, whether it's in person, that helps a lot. And I find that if I get myself in front of people, I work better than just a phone call. So I get leads all the time. People call and they're not really sure who they want to work with. But if I can get myself in front of them, again, it goes back to that trust. They need to trust me face to face, see me, know what I'm about, look at my reviews and know me as a person. Once you know me as a person, it works. But if you just make the phone call, you're probably not going to gain their trust. So for me, it's, trying to get in front of people, utilizing social media and just learning different ways to make it fun. I feel like you can find, the services that we offer around the corner, every corner, but what makes me different? So that's what you have to kind of think of if you're a new business owner. How do I stand out? What makes me different? And find a niche. You can't do it all. That's one thing, I do it all, but in a different way. What I mean by you can't do it all, I have some people that are getting into the business and they just started, for example, in real estate, and they want to do residential, they want to do commercial, they want to do investments. They have no idea where to start, but they try to jump into it all. You got to try one area that suits you best and then move on to the rest so that you can really learn. Because if you're not educated, you can't provide, due diligence to the client. You want to make sure that you're doing your best. So if you sound like you know a little bit about a lot, it's not always great. So my suggestion and recommendation to anyone starting is really, really learn your trade and learn a piece of your trade that you can work with, that you start with, and then you can then grow into other areas of that industry.
I think that was more than one tip, Crystal. So if they didn't get one, they got more than one.
So, Crystal, what is the future for referrals from the heart?
So we're hoping that we double the amount of members that we have currently and also volunteers by the end of this year. So with that being said, I've been doing a lot of marketing, but I also look to the members also to bring in a friend, entrepreneur, even if someone, is just thinking about it. We have a lot of businesses that we work with too, like Seed. I actually met with them today. They are a small business administration that helps small businesses as well. And just try to, promote entrepreneurship and, create, a partnership with everyone to understand that we're here to help and double the size that we are today. I think that is a big part of it too, is, helping people look outside the box, because a lot of people want to do it, they just don't know how. So we're here to help, and hopefully by next year we can talk again and we've doubled the size of our organization.
That would be great. I would love to have that follow-up conversation for sure. And how can people, if they're local, how do they connect with Referrals from the Heart? And maybe if they're not local, how can they support Referrals from the Heart?
So they can reach out to me. They can reach out through Facebook. They can call me. We also have a page, Referrals from the Heart, on Facebook that, have events and things that are going on. We also utilize that page for members to advertise, so they can advertise their business specials, promote their businesses. And we also, you can go on Lights in the Dark Foundation and click donate. If you donate that way, we just ask that you type in the comments youth, so that you can donate and it goes right directly to our funding. Also, Lights in the Dark Foundation has a Venmo, so you can also use Venmo. And again, we just ask that you comment youth so that you can support the organization. We definitely try to, have the local community get involved so that we can have the in-person meetings. But anyone that wants to support us, we would appreciate it as well, because again, we're just starting and we want to create, longevity and hopefully a long-term organization to help everyone.
Absolutely. I feel like from our conversation, even conversations previous to this and the conversation today, for people that are listening, the things that I took away are, don't allow your circumstance to get in the way of the things you truly want to do. Don't conform to the victim mentality. And the other thing is that community is key, right? Community is how you build word of mouth. It's how people get to know who you are, and that can be in-person community. Absolutely, that is also where I thrive, so I can completely relate to that. Or, utilizing social in a way that you build a positive community, not any of this negative nonsense. And the last one is giving back. Giving back is how you show up, not just for yourself, but maybe your past self, right? The person that you used to be, excuse me, and the person that you want to be for other people. So those are the things that I took away. Chrissy, how about you?
Yeah, actually, those exactly the same things, and trust, and coming back around to trust. I love that that part as you were talking about that. I think it's so important. And for our listeners, if you, Crystal, can again just say where you are for to see who's local. You say you're in Taunton, Mass as well.
Yes, yep, we're located in Taunton, Mass, and we work with a lot of the Bristol County communities and some outside of Bristol. We also go to Norfolk as well, but we definitely are here to help, and we welcome anyone that's interested to give us a call. We appreciate you and we want to help you.
Awesome. Well, we have loved having you on. So thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. And we will be putting all Crystal's links and social media things in the show notes. And so thanks for chiming in and join our conversation. We'll be posting around on social media, and you can follow us on our Instagram at Happy Healthy Skeptical. And thanks so much.
Thank you.